welcome everybody. Dr. Bob Leib here in our office at Rosemont Chiropractic, and my dear friend, Dr. Greg Armstrong, has a company called Total Health Transformation. For those of you that don't know that yet, he is doing some really amazing work. We've got some amazing testimonials that we've gotten to see from patients that have lost 10s, 20s, 60, 80 pounds. I've been observing him and watching him for a long time. We've been friends as chiropractors before he started this program. And for me, it's pretty amazing to, kind of know him and watch him go through this, because he's always been somebody who just wants to help people. And this became a thing where, type 2 diabetes became a major issue in his family. And he took action on that and it became a passion for him, is probably a good word. Yeah. That he's turning into doing tons of research on, figuring it all out because of how it affected his family. And now he's taking that and helping other people. So it's been amazing to kind of observe. Recently, I have gotten a little stressed from things going on in my life, and ironically, my mother passed away from type 2 diabetes. And the complications that come along with that as well. And it became even more of a passion for me to understand what Greg was doing in the process of dealing with all of the grief of my mother passing, taking on her estate, family issues, everything that comes along with that, running a practice, having a young child and a family to take care of, being a consultant and a coach and helping other chiropractors all over the country, and having a full plate. I began to not take as good a care of myself. Oh, not to mention there was a pandemic going on in the middle of all that. I began to not take very good care of myself. So I kept hearing this little thing in the back of my head said, call Greg. You know what Greg's doing. And I went in for my blood work, and it was bad. And it became a reality for me, because here I am, a doctor who's coaching and inspiring patients to be healthy all the time and make healthy decisions. And I really wasn't doing as good as I could have been. And so it became a thing for me. I was a contradiction, and I couldn't stand it, and it was eating away at me and was really bugging me and bothering me. And I said, that's it. So I called Greg and I said, I'm serious about this. I'm committing. I don't want to allow my body, which was just on the edge of diabetic state, type 2 diabetes. And I watched my A1C, which I had controlled a good portion of my life up to this point, and it had crept up into the 6 range, and I was like, okay, that's it, and some other blood work was starting to not look so good as well. And so it was a sign for me. And so I said, this is what I would tell a patient to do. This is what I know I need to do. I have a young child, a 4-year-old boy running around the house at home, and I want to be a healthy dad for him.
Lots of running around.
Lots of running around. I have an incredibly beautiful wife, and she's amazing and supportive. And I said, I want to live the long, happy life that I have right now, and not shorten it with poor choices. So he has coached me since then. Just a few weeks into this process, I'm down a smidge from 20 pounds. Yep. Which is very exciting for me, because I can actually keep up with my son when we're chasing around the kitchen counter.
Lots of chasing.
I'm running very fast and super fast. He likes being in first place. I don't know where he gets that from. But yeah, that's basically been it. I'm very excited. I got my A1C tested, and an A1C is a 6-month-long look back into how your blood sugar is attaching your red blood cells and how much blood sugar you have, and when it's bad. And within just
A1C is 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah, 3 months. Yep.
So just a couple of months into the process, I get my blood rechecked, and I was down 5 points. I'm in 5.5 range, which is in the normal range again, but it's still high normal. So I still have work to do to get that even better, and goals again for my next check in January. So I'm very excited. I feel amazing. It's a very doable process. But the most important thing that I've really gotten from this is not that I've lost weight through this process, and not even that my blood sugar, A1C, and all these things have improved so dramatically, and that I've gotten physically healthier. But it's the mental work that I think is what separates what Dr. Greg is doing from other doctors that are doing similar things. So not too long ago, as part of his effort to rechange how our brains work. And of course, we use that word neuroplasticity, which is a big word, but what it basically means is creating new habits, healthy ones. And that in and of itself is a lot of work. That's so much harder than trying to create a diet plan for yourself, eating right, exercising right, and figuring out what's just right for each individual person. But he does these series of webinars and videos that are incredibly inspirational and powerful and positive and uplifting. And sure enough, he did this class on mental fitness. So for me, I said, holy cow, that was amazing. I have to get this out to our patients. He and I have had many discussions on these topics, but I feel like this is something everybody needs to hear, because there's plenty of intelligence inside of me that says, I know what to do. For sure. So the knowledge is not the issue. And it was really, what do I have to do to start thinking? At first I thought, well, you know what, I need to be motivated. And so, and on that, we will discuss the difference between motivation, inspiration, and disciplines with you today. But yeah, let's start off with just the opening thing, what mental fitness means to you, Greg.
So mental fitness, I like to equate, mental fitness is, if you think about physical fitness, right? Because everybody can easily, identify with and understand physical fitness and what it does for you, right? So physical fitness, the more strength, endurance, the more flexibility you have from a physical standpoint, that allows you to meet the physical demands of life. Just the more strength, more stamina, more flexibility you have, you're able to adapt, overcome, meet the physical demands of just being alive, right? Everything in our lives gets better, easier, more enjoyable, the more physically fit we are, right? I mean, that's pretty much universally understood. So when those same things that physical fitness will allow you to do, that's what mental fitness does for you. Just like we meet physical challenges on a daily basis, we also meet quite a few, mental challenges, obstacles, temptations, peer pressure. There's a lot of outside forces that affect our choices and our decisions at the mental and psychological level. All right. So when you create mental fitness, and you mentioned a key word before, neuroplasticity, right? And the neuroplasticity has actually been around for quite a while. It's a science. I mean, it's pretty well. It's been around for a long time. It's gaining a lot of steam lately. But what neuroplasticity means literally is that your brain can be rewired. Whatever habits and patterns that you're stuck in now of how you think, how you behave, your choices, your reactions to things, those have been neurologically programmed over time. That's neuroplasticity. But what neuroplasticity also says is like, that old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I hate that saying. I can't stand that. And it's false, right? So you can actually rewire, reprogram yourself at the neurological level to delete and erase those old patterns of thought, behavior, choices, reactions, and create exactly what you want. You can really create any kind of habit or pattern of thought, belief, inner dialogue that you want to create. And when you create those new patterns of thought, belief about who you are, what you're capable of, what you deserve, what you can do, what you can't, all those kind of things, that creates mental fitness. Right? Because, and you mentioned like motivation, like I'm not a fan of motivation. Like motivation serves a purpose, but motivation for long-term change, like permanently shifting your lifestyle, how you think and what you do on a daily basis. Motivation may get you started, but it's ultimately habits and patterns that keep you going, And unfortunately, and motivation can be such a source of frustration, because I know if you've been motivated before, right? We've all been, could have been a bad lab report, doctor talking about adding or putting you on a medication, Or it could have been a picture you saw of yourself that you didn't like what you saw. You know, it was a painful thing to look at. And you get motivated, right? I'm drawn, that's it, no more. No more. I'm going to stop this, this, and this, and I'm going to start this, this, and this, and that's it. I've had it, no more, you know, and motivation kind of gets you going, and you have it for a little bit, but motivation fades. You know, listen, this is why I do natural, holistic, lifestyle-based healthcare. This is our wheelhouse, right? Like how to get and stay well, creating health. I'm not always motivated. You know, I'm not. Ultimately, motivation gets, you probably heard this saying before, motivation gets you started. Motivation serves a purpose, but it's habits that keep you going.
Right.
And it's the habits, strategies, and skills of mental fitness. So mental fitness is what's going to allow you to overcome, gives you the strength and the stamina to overcome the daily obstacles and challenges that come our way, and all the marketing messages and all the smells and all the temptations and all the people. Oh, one bite's not going to kill you, right? You've earned it. And all that stuff. Mental fitness allows you to meet and overcome those challenges and obstacles, but mental fitness also gives you the stamina that you need to keep going.
So let's talk about something. So for me, like in the past, as an example, I've given patients this scenario. Like a lot of people have had the opportunity maybe to, in the past, drive a stick shift car. And I remember I had to think, clutch, gas, where's first? First is here, how to come off. Oh, I'm not looking at the pedal and the shift, like I look where I'm going, and I got to actually steer, and all of that. And within months of doing, my very first car was a stick shift, so it was like I had a friend take me to a parking lot, and there was a lot of stalling and cursing and all kinds of stuff was happening. So, and months later, I'm driving and I'm drinking a coffee. If there was cell phones back then, I would have been on my cell phone drinking my coffee, stick shift in my car. Because once your brain develops that neurological pattern, the brain is always looking to make things easier.
Yep.
And so on you, believe it or not. So when it's doing that, it puts these things into habitual behavior portions of our brains where these neural pathways have been developed.
Yep.
And now you don't really have to think about them anymore.
Bingo.
And that's where the issue comes in, where a lot of us we're doing things, we're going to the refrigerator, and we're like, why the hell am I standing here? Like, I'm not even hungry. Why did I open the refrigerator? Or why am I going into this bag of chips? I don't, you're not even stopping and pausing long enough in our crazy busy lives to say, why the hell am I doing this? This is not what I want. This is not what I want to create. And then it is not easy to change some of these patterns if they've been ingrained for many, many, many years.
Yep.
But holy cow, when you do, and you start living on even a subconscious level, the life that you deserve to live and the life that you want to live, it affects so many different areas of your life, because you start to have these more positive thoughts and recognize them, where you're beating yourself up, where you're being negative about things, and starting to remove those, because those don't really serve you. Those aren't helping me right now.
Yeah. And why when I get stressed, do I turn to food? Right? Why is it that I use food for emotional reasons?
Yeah.
Another thing I deal with a lot.
I was this skinny, ribs sticking out, same height I am now, and I was struggling to get past 140 pounds. And I remember trying to play football in high school, and my football coach is like, well, we got to put weight on you because we want you to be a tight end. And then my wrestling coach was like, you got to drop 18 pounds to get into this other weight class. And I was like, where am I going to drop 18 pounds? So, and I've got this, my grandmother was saying, you're too skinny, you got to eat something. Doesn't your mother feed you? Finish your plate, finish your plate. To this day, I'm like, I'm full. Why am I finishing my plate? There's you really have to take a look at some of these belief systems that we have that don't serve us in any way, know that they're not real, and know that there's an opportunity to really change them if you're willing to do the work on doing it.
Yeah.
And it takes time and it's a process, but holy cow, is it worth it?
One of the most important habits that we could develop is the habit of thinking about our thinking. Like really taking the time And you know, from our work together, I'm a huge pen to paper, right? Putting pen to paper and getting really an understanding and more consciousness and awareness of, all right, well, when I'm not making the best decisions, when I'm making decisions that I know don't serve me, that I know are actually hurting me. Like, when I make decisions that I know are actually hurting me, you know, they are going to short my quantity and quality of life. Like, what is the thought process behind that? What are some of the reasons and justifications that I'm giving myself? What's the story that I'm telling myself to justify that? To make, in my mind, convince myself, or even maybe sometimes it doesn't take too much convincing, but you're doing that is the right, appropriate, and you know, the right and appropriate decision for that moment. So when you really start getting it, when you learn how to think about your thinking, and you really start living more consciously, you know, you're obviously that translates to what you put into your mouth, you know, and that affects your consumption habits. It affects and improves your relationship with food. But it also affects and improves a lot of other areas of our lives as well. It improves and affects it improves our relationships. It improves, you know, whether or not we're going to move our bodies in a healthy way on a daily basis or not. It improves how we respond and adapt to stressful events in our lives. This habit, probably, when I start working with a client, one of the most, job number one is to get you into the habit of thinking about your thinking.
So well said.
And you can really learn yourself, you know, and you've heard me say this over and over. Don't get furious with yourself, get curious with yourself.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people have even stopped long enough to realize that they're having conversations in the head.
Oh,
and
we
their
sure
head
are.
Stuff, or we're playing out imaginations of something. But to observe that whoever that conversation is listening, right to that other part of your mind. And the mind is paying attention. So when you have that, to be able to interrupt that pattern and say, where am I going with this? What's the point of this? And to change some of those patterns, because they're just patterns.
They are. And they can be rewritten.
You're making me think of two things. One of which is my son, you know, he's 4. So he's observing things in his environment, right? He's learning so fast. It's amazing. And he had this thing the other day, like, you know, he saw something and he was like, there's dragons. All of a sudden he doesn't like dragons, you know, and doesn't want to go to bed because there's dragons outside the window. And, you know, and no matter what I tried to say to him, he was so certain in his belief at 4, you know, that these dragons were going to get him somehow, you know, and so we had to have this long conversation to, you know, explain to him how, well, I came up with, dragons are afraid of daddy, but you know. So they won't. They're not. That's pretty good. Me. He was like, and that's what I don't know where it came from, but that was the final thing. But it's like, but I had to interrupt that pattern of thinking that he thought was so real in his imagination, and he believed to be so true. And there's so many things about health and the way we live our lives that are not true. They're just habits that we picked up and things that we hear. Secondhand information that just is not any part of reality. And the second part is, and if you could talk about this too, going into this, that really just popped in my head because you brought it up slightly, is when you say, no matter what, you always get to be right.
Oh yeah, no matter what, you'll always prove yourself right. You will always prove yourself right.
Brain wants that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Like you said, easiest path, right? So all right. So much of this mental fitness that we're talking about, right, is really has a lot more to do with unlearning than learning, right? Unlearning, you know, the stories and the justifications and all that kind of stuff, the beliefs we have about ourselves and what we're capable of and who we are and what we can do, what we can't do, and all this kind of stuff. Oh, really, probably the foundation of mental fitness is unlearning what you've come to believe and hold to be true about yourself and your life and your body and a bunch of other stuff, right? And why that's so important is because you'll always prove yourself right. You always will. So, and just with regards to like, and you know, we're talking a lot about like mental fitness and beliefs and neuroplasticity and things like that. You know, a key thing to keep in that I want you to know is that this is accessible, creating this mental fitness and doing the unlearning, reprogramming, tapping into neuroplasticity, and actually like creating new habits and patterns is accessible to everybody. Like even you, right? It's accessible to everybody. There's nobody who has certain gifts and talents and it has nothing to do with like higher intellect or gifts and talents. It has nothing to do with that. It's accessible to everybody. And to a great degree, mental fitness is created the same way that physical fitness is. Just without like the sweat and the, you know, and like and all that kind of stuff. It's actually very liberating. It's freeing, you know, it's freeing, you know, it's freeing. And you know, it's almost like when you go through this process, it's almost like a kind of like a cloud lifts, you know what I mean? And you've got your antenna really up about your habits and you're really thinking about your thinking. But, you know, there's just daily, just like you brush your teeth every day, there's like a couple of like powerful but quick strategies and practices for taking care of your teeth. You know, you brush your teeth, you floss, mouthwash, probably should do that twice a day, right? Right? There's certain things. So developing mental fitness, I always equate as a lot like brushing your teeth. You know, it's kind of like brushing your mind every day. So there's just you know, there's just a few handful of key daily practices, strategies, you know, bringing some pen to paper and going through really, you know, what's in your head and kind of reframing that and what you want to be going on in your head instead. And it's a very, as you know, it's a very, I know we're kind of giving like a 30,000 foot view here, but it's a very intricate and very personalized step-by-step process. But it's accessible to everybody. You know, I can't stress that enough. You've got this ability. We all do. It's the way the human brain was created. It's how it gets wired. It's how my brain gets wired. It's how it's how your brain gets wired. It's how all of our brains get wired.
Even as you're saying that, like it's like to me, I'm sitting there going, like, you know, how many times you hear a patient say, you know, we judge ourselves. We see that healthy person working out at the gym, and they have something I don't have. You know, or
are they doing that?
Right? You know, or you know, and it's just habits. And it's because they started out, they didn't wake up and say, man, I just can't wait to get to the gym. You know,
yeah. I can attest. A lot of times I do not.
Yeah, and myself as well. I mean, a lot of times we had a patient in the other day who, you know, she is, and one of my pride and joys. She's actually, after almost a year of conversation and trying to coach her and help her, she's taking walks. She's going from her house to the corner and back. That's it.
Beautiful.
That's all she can do.
Beautiful.
That's all she can physically do right now. And it's not, but she's doing it.
Yep.
And she's creating new habit patterns. And just her having the conversation is a much more positive, uplifting conversation. When I see some of our patients that are also clients of yours, and I'm watching them go through the process, the transformation, to me, that's so obvious. Obviously, we see them losing weight, and we see them
they get smaller,
getting healthier, but it's their minds. They're becoming so much more positive, excited, lovers of life people. That was in there the whole time.
Yes, it
and
was.
You know, nobody could ever see it before. And so yes, they're shedding pounds, but they're shedding, you know, they're shedding this brain plaque.
A lot of mental baggage, a lot of mental weight, psychological weight.
And cleaning this stuff, they're really cleaning things up, and it's just amazing to see them go on and living these lives of that they're doing stuff and experiencing life on different levels, and it's so amazing. So,
just to speak to that point, just one last thing is, you know, from a health standpoint, right? From a chiropractic standpoint, but just, I mean, and this is the way it works. Like, this is, health comes from the inside out, right? Our bodies were created to heal, repair, regenerate, rewire, right? Heal, repair, and regenerate physically in every way, right? Our bodies were created to heal that. And that's not like woo-woo-y mystical stuff. That's science, that's anatomy, that's physiology, that is fact. So I think one of the most important shifts that I see with clients is they understand that where they want to go from a health standpoint, where they want to get to, what's ideal, what's optimal, the kind of life that they want to be living, it's not going to come from something outside. It's not going to come from the newest, latest, greatest pill, powder, potion, lotion, injection. Obviously, those times when that stuff is appropriate and necessary, but, you know, or bright, shiny object, or next fad diet, or magic, whatever it is, right? It's not there. The battle, when you win this battle, once you win this battle, you win the war. You win the war against getting healthy, permanently achieving your ideal weight, reversing type 2 diabetes, whatever it is. Once you win it here, you've won.
Right, right. And I love that. It's not a diet.
No, it's not a diet.
It's the furthest thing from a diet.
That is actually a 4-letter word with
so
my clients.
This is
not
really
a word that is
about
not allowed.
completely changing your mind, not just about, and it's not, like you said, and we've said a couple times this conversation, it's not just about food. I mean, because I'm noticing how changing my thinking of how I wake up in the morning, how I am being in a connected relationship with my son instead of being distracted because I'm working on those thoughts. You know, my wife and I being able to really listen to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had
It's always a good idea.
It's a good idea. I know. It's an incredible thing that when my wife and I argue, it's always because she's trying to spend more time with me. Is the bottom line underlying statement. And she's willing to do whatever she can to help me so we can have more time together, you know, and it's like, and so that's her passion. And when I get wrapped up in stuff, and get busy, which that's, you know, a 4-letter word for me right now, is when I get into those state of mind, because I do have a lot of stuff going on, I have to make sure my priorities are being taken care of and handled in their proper order. So, and so we get back and we reconnect, and then and so I'm noticing like it's changing my relationships, it's changing who I am as a more positive person. I'm noticing that it's affecting how I feel physically, which affects how I feel mentally and emotionally. And so it's been a huge transition for me, and I wanted to be able to go through this program, give it a couple of months. I know I saw some testimonials, but I want to be able to share with you all my experience so far. And I'm very close to my 20-pound goal that we set, and at the same point, I have already set future goals, you know, for the end of the year and where we're going. And this is a never-ending process for me moving forward, and it is a process. So it's you know, there's been, I can't say I haven't done it without a slip up of something. Whether it's knowingly I ate something that I just said I'm just eating this today and I'm just going to pay the price for it and fix it tomorrow or later or whatever. But there's also been along the way, there's been things that I ate that I didn't realize. Something, you know, there was a half a cup of sugar in that, you know, that broccoli salad. Right. Who knew?
So
I thought it was broccoli, it's good.
And that's, you know, another thing is, you know, circling back around to mental fitness, right? So when you begin to create when you learn the habits and the strategies and the skills surrounding mental fitness, right? Or I should say when things go sideways, because it's not about perfection, right? Nobody's perfect. When things go sideways, with the right habits and strategies and skills in place, you right the ship a lot faster. Yeah. You're less likely to just completely derail, throw in the towel, here we go again. All those stories, right? I knew, I just can't, I always, I never, right? All those, right? You beat yourself up. No, it's kind of like when you have that, you right the ship a lot faster, you get back to it. As we said, you get over it like a fence and you get right back to the habits and the disciplines and the lifestyle and the choices. And it's a lot easier to right that ship and get back on track. Right. I hear so many, one bite, and I hear with new clients, like, oh, I noticed it's like one bite or a weekend or whatever it is, and then I know I'm off the rails for another 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year, right? It's not about perfection. It's about, again, right, getting into the habit of thinking about your thinking and really objectively looking at your choices and you know,
and everybody struggles, and everybody has.
Oh, absolutely.
Struggles. And everybody. So when you say I'm struggling,
absolutely.
well, yeah, everybody.
Welcome to the club. You know, we're always accepting new members.
I'm just not going to struggle in a pile of chocolate cake, right?
Right.
And
Or
make my
I'm
life
going
even
to
harder.
Or I'm going to use other strategies and skills to not resort to abusive behavior.
Self-abusive.
Yeah, self-abusive behavior.
Yeah. So look, we can go on and on and on because
As you can tell.
we love talking about this stuff. And this is really important stuff.
Yeah.
So one of the things we're going to do is, this may turn into part 1 of the power of mental fitness. And maybe it's 30, I don't know, maybe it's 5, but we're going to keep revisiting these conversations and keep trying to empower you at home. I wanted to just kind of use this video and this platform to explain what I've been going through, to further justify and solidify that what Dr. Greg has put together with THT absolutely positively works. It's amazing. It's like any other tool, you know, it only works when you use it. So we're gonna, you know, I'm gonna ask you if you even have a question about diabetes or type 2 diabetes, or it's in your family, or you don't want to go there like me and even have to work your way all the way back. Because the sicker you are, the longer it is, the harder it gets. But it's still doable. It doesn't mean it's easy. It's just, it's hard, but it's doable. So so amazing changes from your clients, and I'm grateful for what you're doing and what we're going to be able to bring to our patients here at Rosemont Chiropractic, and to the public and our community as a whole to try and get them healthier. So anybody you want to have come talk to him, call us here at the office, 431-2225. And 757-431-2225, just in case this video goes somewhere, get shared. But yeah, please do. And thank you so much for joining us for these last few minutes.